Welcome to my Q&A in which you guys have made so many questions on my Instagram. I've selected a couple questions and I'm going to be answering every single one to the best of my ability. Without further ado, I'm just going to fucking start it. Number one is I don't have motivation to work out. What do I do? All right. So firstly, there's a lot of things that you have to think about. Your motivation isn't or shouldn't be the only driving factor for you to work out. Yes, it does help. And when you do have motivation, I say go harder, because if you have motivation, it allows you to push a bit more. But you're not going to go harder if you don't have systems in place. You can only go harder once you have those systems in place. Because if you don't and you just use that motivation, you're going to go extremely hard. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because you're motivated. Once that drops, everything else drops, and there's no systems in place to catch you, at least at a baseline, and so you lose all progress. So motivation is nothing without systems. And what I mean by this is you can be fired up for a marathon, and you can be training maybe for 2-3 weeks, maybe you do a whole month of training, but you have to train for 4 months. And you relying solely on your motivation, no systems, has caused you to burn out because you don't know what the proper training is. But you were motivated, so it didn't matter to you. You were able to push through. You didn't give a fuck about anything else. But then results start to stagnate a bit. You start to lose that notion of, okay, why am I even doing this? Why am I putting myself through this pain? If it's a discomfort situation every time you do it, and you only do it because you have motivation, you will fail. What you have to do is you have to set systems in place. You have to be able to have a baseline to look at and be like, okay, this is what I have to follow. Anything else comes extra, comes on top, allows me to go harder, right? So for example, say it's for the gym and you're like, okay, I have motivation, so you're gonna push really hard. You're gonna go 5 times, you're gonna add cardio on top of it. But if you don't have the system in place that gets you going either way, 4-5 times a week, gets you doing 10 to 15 minutes of cardio every time. If you don't have that system and that accountability to keep you doing the basics and perform at the baseline, motivation is going to be your downfall, because you're only going to do it, it's going to spike up, and then it's all going to spike back down. So if you don't have motivation, that's fine. Build systems instead. If you don't know how to build systems, you can always send a message at me on Instagram, DM me, or you can even book a call through the link I'm putting in this video. Now, a second question, why is online coaching better than in person? That's a really awesome question, and I've answered this recently on my stories, but I'm gonna have it here as a concrete answer. In-person training, to me, isn't as beneficial unless the only thing you need to improve on is your training, all right? Why is in-person worse? Because in person, maybe you're having a personal trainer working with you for 2-3 times a week for an hour, right? And do you think that your progress is going to be made only in those 2 to 3 hours a week in which you're with your trainer? Or do you feel like it's going to be in the whole other hours of your day in which your trainer isn't watching you, right? You have 24 hours in the day. If training takes up only one time or 1 hour, and you're only being accompanied and watched for that 1 hour, you have the other 23 hours to fail, to slack off, to lose all your progress. So in-person training is good, can help, but it's better to be online, because when you have an online trainer, he watches you through all those other aspects. He's always there texting you. He's always there making sure you're staying on track. And if your personal trainer online isn't doing any of these things, he's a bad one. And find a better one, like me, all right? But in all seriousness, in-person training isn't going to give you those results because there is lack of monetization in the other 23 hours of the day. That is going to be the most impactful for your progress. Your nutrition, your accountability, your motivation, your mental state, your discipline, your habits, your steps, your water intake, your sleep. All of these things are accounted for when you're trying to reach a fitness goal, specifically in fat loss, all right? So if you are trying to actually make more progress, hiring an in-person trainer is only going to help you with training and nothing else. I've already tried everything. Okay, when you say I've already tried everything, I'm assuming what you mean is you've tried the calorie deficits, you've tried the workouts, you've tried all this stuff, and yet you've gotten nowhere. Obviously. That's the first answer I have to tell you, is obviously. You've tried everything by yourself. First, you probably counted your calories wrong. Secondly, you probably set the incorrect calorie goal. Thirdly, you having to do everything by yourself is going to overwhelm you. You having to figure out nutrition, you having to figure out training, you having to figure out recovery, you having to figure out sleep, you having to figure out even nutritional timing, for example, carb timing, carb cycling, intermittent fasting, so many different tools that can help you. You having to figure out this whole world by yourself is going to add so much friction. It's genuinely going to add so much friction. So obviously you're going to feel like you've tried everything because you had to handle everything yourself, but you haven't tried everything with the right approach. That's the biggest thing. Because yes, maybe you've even tried everything, but your approach was incorrect, and so it failed you. So it's not like you don't respond. It's not like you have any condition that isn't going to allow you to perform or get these results. You've simply tried everything with the wrong approach. Then I don't want fitness to take over my life. Okay, there's a couple of things to be said here. Firstly is that mindset is horrible. That mindset is horrible. Oh, I don't want fitness to take over my life. Listen, bro, you're working towards a goal and you're expecting to achieve that goal by having the same lifestyle right now. The same everything right now. You don't want to change anything, but you want to get shredded for summer. Or you want to lose that insecurity of not being able to take off your shirt at the beach. Or you want to, be able to not avoid mirrors, not avoid the scale, like not feel anxious every time you go to the doctor and you're stepping on the scale and you're like, fuck, he's going to see I'm overweight again. You thinking that you don't want fitness to take over your life is the incorrect mindset, because you're already going at it with one foot out the door. Instead of reframing it to, I want to have this lifestyle. This is the lifestyle I want to live. And if fitness does become a bigger part of it, so what? Because you get everything you ever wanted. You don't know how much better your life is going to be once you do sacrifice this life you have right now. But that's one part of it. The second part of it is fitness isn't going to take over your life. It's not. And if it does, it's in a positive way. What I mean by this is, you probably think, oh, if I have to focus on fitness, I can't ever go out. I can't ever eat out. I can't ever eat sweets. You can. Provided you have the right approach, the right systems, the right method in place, and the structure in place, you can do everything. Hell, I go out. I sometimes have ice cream. I sometimes have desserts. I go out to eat quite a lot. But I still know how to do it because I have the right approach. I know how to make proper choices within my meals. I don't have to work out 20 times every single week. It doesn't consume my whole life because I understand how to train. I have clients that are working 3 times a week. They're working out 3 times a week. I have clients that are working out 4 times a week. I have clients that are traveling and fitness isn't taking over their life. It's just simply a priority, and so they are actually doing it. And so it is something that they do fit in because they know it makes sense for them and for their goals and for the lifestyle that they want to live, all right? Then I'm too old to get in shape. Brother, stop. Stop with the cope. You're not too old to get in shape. And I don't mean this to harm you. I mean this to inspire you. What separates a 20-year-old from a 50-year-old, right? You can think, oh, but he's younger, his metabolism is higher. Wrong. So many studies show a minimal decrease in metabolism only past your 40s or 50s. So your metabolism isn't that slow. I have more responsibilities. Yes, 100%, no doubt about it. Listen, right now I'm 20 years old. I don't have nearly the same responsibilities that my dad does, right? But the thing is, my dad was still able to lose 10 kilograms last year in the span of 6 months. Think about that. And he's 56 years old. My dad was able to lose 10 kilograms at 56 years old. And he didn't even go to the gym. All I did is I helped him correct his diet, helped him add some sort of form of physical activity, and he found the time to do it. Every time before work, every single day before work, he would go on a walk. And that walk helped him so much, infinitely, not only to lose the weight, but to feel better. He would start off his mornings right. He would start off his mornings oxygenated because you've got some blood flowing through your body. And he used to go walk outside. Every single morning after that walk, he would feel good and ready to perform the rest of the day. So you may be thinking, oh, I'm too old, I don't have that much energy, I'm too tired. You don't have that much energy because your sleep is bad. You don't have that much energy because you don't work out. You don't have that much energy because your nutrition isn't dialed in. So once you fix these things, then you can actually understand, okay, am I actually too old, or is it just an excuse I tell myself to stay comfortable? On top of that, I have clients that, okay, they're not old, but I have a client that's 32. I have a client that's 38. I have a client that's 43. That's getting older, but they still don't think, oh, I'm too old, or maybe they do think I'm too old, and that's exactly why you have to do it now, because it's not gonna get easier anytime soon. It's not gonna get easier when you're 60, when you're 70, when you're 80. So you may as well start now, because when you're 70, you're gonna look back at the time when you were 50, and you're gonna think, oh my God, I was so young, I could have done this, but now I'm actually too old. Maybe then you'll actually be too old, even though that's not the case, but maybe then you'll actually be too old. And you're gonna look back and you're gonna think of all the time you wasted, all the progress you've wasted bullshitting right now because you think you're too old to start. Start and actually see if that's true, if that's the case. Then we have, I feel embarrassed working out. What do? Brother, could not hit me more, could not relate to it more. When I first started out, I felt embarrassed going to the gym. I felt like everybody was gonna look at me and they're gonna see, oh my God, this guy has no idea what the fuck they're doing, like what he's doing. This guy has no idea what he's in here for, why is he even here? He's not in shape, he's this and that. I was like, damn, there's no way I fit into the gym. But then you have to understand this thing. First of all, there's a concept in psychology called the spotlight effect. Spotlight effect is when you think, because you judge yourself, you think everyone else is going to be judging you as well. You think that because you're nervous, because you're in a new place, because this and that, you're actually going to be the one person that everybody is going to look at. Listen, brother, I guarantee you, nobody gives a fuck about you more than you give a fuck about yourself. Nobody is going to be in their sets looking at you being like, ha, what an idiot. And if they are, fuck them. Who are they to tell you that you're an idiot because you're in there trying to work on yourself, because you're in there trying to be better? I used to think that the gym was the place that only fit people went to. And then I understood that the gym is a place that people go to get fit. So it's not a place where you're there and you're already automatically fit. It's the place where you're there to become fit. So it comes with time. And secondly, you are starting off. The biggest guy in your gym, the most shredded motherfucker in there, also started off one day. Do you think he didn't feel that embarrassment at some point? Do you think he also wasn't scared or anxious to join the gym and had that spotlight on him? He was. You just have to go through it, because once you go through it, you realize that nobody actually gives a fuck. And then we have, I feel that getting in shape isn't for me. I've always been overweight. And man, this question is like a black plague. This question saying that, oh, I've always been overweight, getting in shape isn't for me, I just don't respond to it genetically. Brother, look at your habits, genuinely, with no ego. Put your ego aside, put the judgment aside. Look at your habits. Are they the habits that a fit person partakes in? Are they the habits that you, from 12 months away from now, that is shredded, are those the habits that he does? Right? You've been overweight your whole life. Have you been eating well your whole life? Have you been sure you're in a calorie deficit your whole life? I'm not saying you should be in a calorie deficit your whole life, but to get in shape or to get at least shredded, you do need to be in a calorie deficit so that it's an energy balance, all right? Basically, calories in, calories out, that's it. It's just the energy that's coming in and the energy that's going out. If there's more energy going out than there is coming in, your body's gonna have to tap into stored energy, which is your fat, and then you're going to be losing fat because of the calorie deficit, all right? But take a look at your habits. Is your sleep good? Do you drink a lot of alcohol? Do you snack often? Do you work out? Do you have that much movement placed in your day? Are you actually not fit to be in shape? Is that just something that's not for you? You're just the genetic anomaly? Or are your habits just not bad and you haven't realized it? Now, question number 8 is, what's the best exercise to get abs? Put the fucking fork down, bro. That's the best exercise. Is this little shit, you put it down. You put the fork down, all right? In all seriousness, calorie deficit is the best thing for you to get your abs revealed. But if you want to train your abs, build your abs more and more and more, the best exercises, I would say, the ones that I practice and the ones that I tell my clients to do the most, is either a decline crunch, generally just moving the actual abs, because people think that abs is all of this, right? At some point, your hip flexors start to tap in. So abs is just this. Your abs are responsible for flexing your spine, all right? So just this movement is a movement that's actually working your abs. So especially when you're in a decline position, it allows you to get the full range of motion because you get to stretch your abs and then you get to curl them up into maximum contraction. All right, so you get the full range of motion. Now, decline sit-ups, B, weighted crunches on the cable, all right? So you get the cable and you crunch down. Once again, just trying to do your best to not involve your hip flexors and just your actual abs. Getting the way to think about it is trying to get your rib cage or the bottom of your rib cage to touch your pelvis, to touch your pee-pee. All right. Then the third exercise, the third best exercise for abs is going to be the leg raises. All right. And not the way that people normally tell you to do it, because if you're just doing this, you're working your hip flexors. Yes, it does also target your abs, but the actual movement is you tilting your hip up. Okay, it's you tilting your hip towards your rib cage. That's how the actual movement should be done. Think about it. You should just be thinking about your legs are extended and you're doing this, or your knees are extended and you're bringing it up like this. Okay, so you have to think about actually the movement comes from your hip and not from your legs. All right, then question number 9. How do I know how much protein I should be getting? You should be getting 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight minimum. All right, and now if you're extremely overweight and you weigh 200 kilos, obviously you're not gonna be consuming 400 grams of protein. What you're gonna be doing is you're gonna get your ideal weight. So let's say you're 110 kilograms and your ideal weight is 80 kilograms. You're gonna eat 160 grams of protein in a day rather than eating 220. So 2 grams per kilogram of body weight or 2 grams per kilogram of your ideal body weight. Then, where are you from? I'm from Portugal, raised in Portugal, lived in Italy, currently living in Indonesia. Question number 11 is, looking back at the last 8 months, when you took the leap, despite not being financially stable, how did you manage the stress, the doubt, and the tough days? What kept you going? What mindset or turning point held you or helped you transform your situation? That's actually probably my favorite question. Because, you see, 8 months ago, I was living in Milan, studying in university, playing water polo at an extremely high level, and I hated my situation. And so I started to recognize this pattern of me hating my situation so much that I had to change, that I wanted to change. Because my why was no longer the same why that for when I went there. When I went to Italy, my why was I want to become the best professional athlete out there. I want to do university, I want to, get a job, I want to add a corporate job, and then I want to scale up and then move up the ladder and this and that, right? And then my why changed. And when my why changed, I started to not like water polo anymore, or at least not feel as, as motivated or feel as disciplined to be able to actually commit to it. I started to not like university anymore because I started to realize how much of a scam it was for me specifically. I'm not getting into the whole politics of the university as a scam. For me, it was a scam simply because what I was learning, I could learn by myself and so much more. I already knew so much of what they were teaching me, and the extra stuff, the nitty-gritty stuff, I could learn by myself. And there was other shit that didn't impact me, wasn't going to impact the people I was going to work with, didn't help me in any way, shape, or form. For example, there was a class that was teaching kids. I'm never gonna teach kids. I don't wanna teach kids. That's not, and it was mandatory. I was wasting time and I was wasting money doing something that wasn't helping me move forward. So I took the leap despite not being financially stable, managed the stress, the doubt, and the tough days. And I'm gonna explain exactly how I did it, all right? I was in Italy and I committed to a $3,000 coach at the time when I was making 200 euros a month. So everything I had saved up went to that coach. Why? Because I understood that the only way I'm gonna make this happen, the only way I'm actually gonna pull through is if I put my back against the wall. And I needed to put my back against the wall financially. All the money I had to spend it somewhere in which I would be like, okay, fuck, I've just spent $3K, I better make this shit work. So it didn't give me any other option other than to actually pull through. And guess what? That's what I did. Because the day I was for months I was contemplating, do I start online coaching? I don't want to start posting videos. I don't want to this and that. The second I invested the $3,000 into the coach, I had to do it. I posted a video the day after. I started doing shit that I was like, fuck, I'm gonna be laughed at, it's gonna be cringe, it's gonna be this and that. Stuff that I was scared of doing before. I just did it because I put myself in a situation in which I could not do it. So that's the first thing, is putting your back against the wall. That's the biggest thing that helped me take the leap, is putting my back against the wall, putting myself in a situation that didn't give me an option other than to pull through. And then, how did I manage the stress, the doubts, and the tough days? I'm not gonna lie to you, there were a lot of tough days in which I moved back to Portugal from Italy, and I was the whole summer working, and I dropped out of college, and I was like, fuck, I have to move to Bali, or if I don't, I have to go back to college. I have to go back to university and live the life that I didn't want to live. So the biggest driver was the fact that I knew I was meant for so much more. The thing that helped me go through the doubt, to be honest, there was no doubt. That's the thing, there was no doubt in my mind. Yes, there are days in which doubt creeps in, but that's just you. Your mind wants to keep you comfortable. That's you sabotaging yourself to go back to that state of comfort. And I never let myself be there. I never let myself actually believe that I was doubting myself. I had to be delusional. If not, I would have been 3K down, having to go back to university, having to go back to living in a shit house that I didn't like, having to go back to be in the cold all fucking year round in a city I didn't like to live in, being surrounded by people that weren't helping me reach the place that I am right now. I love all my friends. Listen, I'm gonna go see them this summer. Every single person that helped me in Italy is my brother. I owe them eternally. But their ambitions weren't the same as mine. And it's not bad. I'm not saying that I'm better, I had better ambitions, this and that. No, they have awesome ambitions. They want to open their own stuff. They want to become professional or at a high level, professional at a very high level. You know, I have friends that have very high ambitions for other aspects. And the biggest thing was surrounding myself around people that had the same ambition for the place that I wanted to go. And the only person I knew at that time was me. So I made myself my own environment. I was locked up in my house for most of the summer. Generally only went out maybe an accumulated time of 7 days, not as in the whole like 24 hours for 7 days, but 7 days total in the whole summer, which is something I'd never done before because I always used to want to go out in summer. I loved partying, I loved all this stuff. But now I had a purpose. Now I had something to lose if I gave all of this stuff up for partying. So the biggest factor was to erasing doubts was just believing in myself, was truly just being so fucking delusional that I was gonna pull it off no matter what. And then how did I manage the stress? Listen, brother, the stress is good. The pressure is what keeps you moving, is what keeps you going. Don't ignore the stress. If the stress is there, it is only there to help you move forward. The stress is there because you're making a change and now you're putting a higher standard, a higher expectation on yourself, and now you have to perform. So stress isn't bad. Stress is, you can make that stress good. You can make it useful. You can turn it into drive, into purpose, into reason to actually pull through. And then what mindset or turning point helped you transform your situation? The mindset that helped me transform my situation was the mindset that I knew I was gonna make it happen. It's truly, it all comes down to delusional self-belief. The mindset that helped me push through was me saying, no one is going to tell me that I can't do it. Not even me, not even I'm gonna tell myself that I can't do it, because I'm literally, if I'm cultivating these thoughts, there's no benefit to it. I have a goal I wanna reach. I'm gonna do everything in my power to reach that goal. And what is the benefit in me telling myself I can't do it, or doubting myself, or listening to that doubt? Because doubt is going to come. And the way you deal with it is you see that doubt come, you embrace it for a second, as in you recognize it and you let it go. Because that doubt is not part of you. You associate it to someone else, never to yourself. You don't have doubts. You believe in yourself. That doubt that's coming in is from bitch boy Marco from 7 months ago. That's not me. So that's kind of the biggest mindset. The biggest mindset was really just to set my priorities straight. Was just to be like, okay, if I don't do this, if I go out instead of working, if I don't make this video today, if I don't post consistently, what does this mean for me? So it's weigh your actions in pros and cons. Weigh your actions, but make it deep, right? For example, me waking up early. If I don't wake up early, to me, hitting snooze means that I'm letting go of all my potential. To me, hitting snooze means that I'm giving in to the fat version that used to sleep in, to the lazy version that used to not actually do anything to get better. They used to just coast by life. So that's the mindset I adopted. Now, number 12 is training every day too much. Yes. Okay, you grow not in the gym, you create a stimulus for growth in the gym, you go outside of it when you recover it. If you're training every single day, you're not allowing your body to recover, so you need to rest. You need to have 1 or 2 rest days. You can do my current split, just so you can know, is I do back and shoulders, chest and arms, legs, rest. Then chest and back, arms, legs, rest. So every 3 workouts, I rest. For you, it can be every 2. For you, it can be Monday, I'm gonna work out, then I rest, then Wednesday and Thursday, I'm gonna work out, then Friday I rest, then Saturday I work out, and Sunday I rest. Integrate a rest in between your workout cycles. You need the rest, that recovery to allow your body to grow. What supplements should I be taking to gain muscle? The biggest supplement is A, not train like a bitch. B, eat your protein. C, have carbs so you actually fuel yourself for the workout and get the best possible workout in. And D is sleep. If you actually want to supplement, the best ones and the ones that I personally take are creatine and protein powder on days that I cannot get my protein from Whole Foods. All right, you should be prioritizing your protein in Whole Foods. Once again, you only resort to protein powder as an accessory, not as a main source of protein. Protein powder is good when it helps you reach or top off that protein that you weren't able to get in that day. It is not good when you replace it with meals. Thoughts on peptides, and are you taking them? Honestly, I haven't done the most amount of research on peptides, so I can't tell you too much. The most attractive ones that I'm seeing right now for me specifically is Retta, CGC, and Ipamorelin. All right, am I on them? No. Will I be on them? I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but I'm also not going to say yes. I still have a lot to do. I still think I can grow a lot naturally. I want to hit 10% body fat naturally. I have my muscle grow naturally. As of right now, to me, I don't see the point of doing peptides, so I don't really want to take them. But I'm not saying that I won't in the future, right? And when I mean in the future, it can be in 4 months, it can be in 2 years, all right? I don't know. I wouldn't be opposed to it. What's your fitness goal right now? 10% body fat, maintain or at least stay above 80 kilograms. So hopefully by like 82, 83 kilograms, get down to 10% body fat. I'm not too far off. I have been losing body fat, but I've also been building muscle, so I've been stuck at a plateau in weight, which is good because I visibly see the body fat decreasing. However, I'm always remaining around the 85, 86 kilogram mark, whereas I was in the 87 kilogram mark. And so for the amount of body fat I'm at right now, the body weights correspondent to that, I mean the fat correspondent to that would have been much more than just 1 or 2 kilograms. So I do know I'm building muscle while losing that body fat. As for tits, ass, next. If you only had 20 minutes a day to train, how would you manage it? All right, so if you're training, it depends, right? If you're training like 5 times a week for only 20 minutes a day, I'm gonna tell you to push the most that you can, all right? You can reduce sets, all right? So instead of doing like 3 sets, you can do 2 or 1 sets for the actual movement. You have to compensate that volume with intensity. So you have to push hard. If you're working out for less time, it means that you're removing volume. So you have to increase intensity to make up for that volume reduction. Then on top of that is I would start doing more compound movements rather than isolation movements, because compound movements targets more than one muscle. And like that, you're not wasting time, or you're not spending as much time isolating certain groups, because if you're isolating your biceps, your triceps, your shoulders, your chest, your quads, your hamstrings, your calves, you're not gonna have enough time in 20 minutes to do everything throughout the week. So for you to be able to hit 2 times frequency in a week and still be able to get a good workout in is just do compound movements and focus on them with high intensity and rest properly as well, so that maybe if you do 2 sets, you can actually push hard on your second set once again. So if time goes down and volume is going to have to go down, so intensity has to increase. Simple as that. When I train, I never bring the muscle to exhaustion because I'm scared I'd get hurt. How do I properly grow in safety, and what are some safety measures I could adopt? So that's actually a pretty good question, right? You're scared you're going to get hurt. Completely understandable. Now, most cases is you're not actually going to get hurt unless you're doing it with improper form, right? So what failure actually is, you performing a movement with proper form up to the point in which you can no longer perform it with proper form, because that's when you start to get injured, and that's what failure is. When you can't do the movement anymore, a rep with proper form, that's failure. You're done. You stop there. And that's how you prevent injuries, because your muscle itself isn't gonna get injured in most cases. However, if you do feel like there's way too much tension, okay, my muscle is gonna fucking burst, what you do is you remove the tension by adding less weight. So you remove some weight, but you just add some more reps. So instead of doing a higher weight with less reps, you do higher reps with less weight. What that looks like is maybe instead of doing 6 reps or 7 reps or 8 reps, you're doing 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 with less weight. All right, that's gonna, because it's less weight, it's gonna have much less stress on your joints and on your muscles as well, despite it having the same amount of produced tension. The mechanical tension produced by your muscles is going to be the same if you're hitting failure, but if the load is less, it's less load on your muscle. It's less actual stress on your muscle. All right. What are some safety measures I could adopt is going to be A, warming up, B, warm-up sets. So warming up as an actual like warm-ups, so like dynamic stretches, not static stretches, because you lose strength when you do that, and you don't want to do that because you want to get the most out of your workouts. So dynamic stretching. B is going to be the less weight, like I just said, and the warm-up weight, sorry, B was the warm-up weight, okay? So when you're warming up, you want to reduce the actual first set. You want to do maybe 50% of what you're actually going to be doing on your top set, and you're going to do those reps, controlled form, good range of motion, just like you should in your normal movement to prevent injury. Good form is essential, all right? And then the last thing is in the recovery process, right? If your muscle is too tired, if your muscle is actually too tired, it may actually get hurt. So you want to recover properly with good protein and good sleep. All right. Then, in what year did you start exercising and how old are you? I believe I started working out in 2021 for a couple months. Then I had to stop because I broke my neck. So then I only got back to training by halfway through 2022. Then 2022 all the way to 2024, I was training properly. And then I went to Italy. I didn't have as much access to the gym. I was like on and off with the gym. And now since 2025, I've been back at it properly 100%. All right. Then it says, I want to lose 25 kilograms because I weigh 108. What should I do? Awesome, brother. Congrats on the initiative, right? First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure you're in a calorie deficit. So understand, you put your body weights, you put your age, you put your height, and you put your level of activity, right? The best way and the way I would structure it is you always see your calories in lightly active and you follow that, okay? Unless you actually are lightly active. And if you are lightly active, still choose that option and then just add more movement to it, all right? So you want to put it into lightly active. The deficit that comes from a lightly active or the lightly active profile when you calculate your calories or your metabolic rate, you're going to want to choose the deficit coming from the lightly active, and you're going to want to add a bit of movement and eat accordingly to that. That's going to ensure you're in a calorie deficit, all right? Resistance training or weight training for 3 to 6 times a week, okay? Or 3 to 5 times a week, really up to you. Recover properly, prioritize whole foods so you feel satiated, eat high satiating foods like potatoes, proteins, stuff that is high in fiber. Don't snack or reduce snacks to the minimum possible. If you want, intermittent fasting has helped me so much, all right? And some of my clients do it as well. Intermittent fasting just simply reduces the window in which you're actually eating. It improves insulin sensitivity, all right? So if you want to lose 25 kilograms, that's the best thing I can do. I can tell you is 10K steps a day, calorie deficit. If you want intermittent fasting, all right, whole foods for food sources, high fiber, high protein, and that's really the most of it, and sleep on top of it. Then number 21 is cardio before or after workout. Up to you, bro. I always do my cardio after my workouts. The best way for me is to do it after workouts. I'll explain to you why. If you want the most optimal answer, I'm going to tell you this. After workout is better. Because before workout, you doing cardio before your workout is going to exhaust you. And when you're exhausted, you can't perform as well in the gym. So you can't get enough stimulus or as much stimulus as you could if you were rested, right? Whereas cardio, you don't need to create an actual stimulus. It isn't dependent on your energetic availability. The best way to do it is work out properly, be able to push yourself to the max, and then do your cardio. Rather than doing your cardio, getting yourself a bit tired, and then not being able to push as hard when you're working out. And then what to do against water retention, especially during period. I've never had a period in my life, believe it or not. But what I would do to reduce water retention is, first of all, drinking 2 to 3 liters of water. Okay, reducing my sodium intake from especially ultra processed foods, chips, just industrial foods, all right, have a shit ton of sodium. Reduce the intake of those foods by the most that you can, all right? So far I've said water intake, reduce your sodium, increase your potassium intake. Potassium is going to help your kidneys remove excess sodium in your body, and also increase your magnesium. Is going to help with your PMS bloating, all right? And also move daily. It's always going to be good, especially for your lymphatic system. Just move daily. Then number 23, how gay is Bruno Moreira? Very gay. Number 24, do you take creatine? Yes, and even if I wasn't training, I would still take it because there are countless studies showing the cognitive benefits of creatine. All right, creatine, yes, will help with your performance overall in the gym, with the amount of water you're getting, with the water you're getting in your muscles, so the actual ATP you're getting available to be able to work out. It's going to increase all of that, but it is going to increase, or it's going to help you with your sleepiness, with your brain fog, with your clarity. So there are so many more benefits other than just like the gym side of the creatine. And now the way you should do it is the dosage. For me specifically, the way I've seen it, the way I do it myself, is 1 gram per every 10 kilograms of body weight. So I weigh 86, so I'm gonna eat 8.5, or I'm gonna take 8.5 grams of creatine per day, all right? This is actually really funny though, because one of the reasons I dropped out of college is because my teacher said that creatine didn't work. He pulled out a fuck-ass study from like 1995 or some shit and said that they tried it on athletic sprinters and the actual phosphorylation of the phosphate group wasn't effective with, or was the same with or without creatine. So the second he said that shit, I was like, fuck you, we don't want that anymore. If you don't know how creatine works, I can break it down very simply for you. Creatine is simply, your body has ATP, all right? ATP is adenine triphosphate. ADP is adenine diphosphate. The difference between both is a phosphate group. Creatine simply helps with donating that phosphate group to the ADP to then become ATP. So it just allows the more frequent and the quicker donation of the phosphate group so that the adenine diphosphate can then become ATP or adenine triphosphate, which is available energy allowing you to actually perform. Then number 25, best way to quickly recover from joint injuries. I fucked up my forearm joints. All right, well, I'm sorry to hear that, first of all. The best way, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is to rest it a bit, okay? So just let it heal for a bit, all right? Then slowly get movement back into it. Do like some circular shit, all right? Just move your elbows around, get some blood flowing in there. Blood is going to give your joints all the oxygen and all the nutrients it needs to actually recover, all right? So you can do that, and then you can do like some isometric holds, starting to apply some tension to also increase the blood flow and already start to train your elbow for minor tension and minor resistance, and then slowly work your way up with less tension in the gym, so less weights, and slowly increase that until you feel okay. How often should you do cardio if you're trying to get jacked? I heard cardio kills gains. Brother, it doesn't. I played water polo for all my life. I got jacked playing water polo. Now I'm not playing water polo anymore, but I still do cardio and I still have gains. Cardio is not gonna kill fucking gains unless you aren't training properly, you're not eating properly, and you're not sleeping properly, meaning you're not recovering properly. Cardio is only going to kill your gains if you're not dialing in these things. But if you're not dialing in these things, you're not going to get gains either way. So if you want to be able to do cardio and still get gains, you have to train hard. You have to train to failure or near failure, and you have to have enough protein consumed in your body so that you can actually build that muscle, and you need to be able to sleep so you can actually actively recover properly. 28. Are you single? With that being said, boys, I hope I've answered all your questions. I actually really enjoyed making this video. I fucking love sitting down, yapping, and answering all your questions, giving you guys some clarity. So I will be making more Q&A videos like this, so I will be putting more stuff up on my stories. If you want to actually dial in your fucking diet, your training, your recovery, every aspect of your life, your mental blocks, book a call in the link in the description or text me on Instagram so we can talk about it and see how I can actually help you, bro. I'm here to fucking help. Or if you just want to support me, like the video, subscribe, comment what you want to see next from me. If you have any other questions so that I can integrate them into my next Q&A, write them in the comments. And with that said, boys, have a fucking good one. I'll see you boys in the next video.